What's up guys, Americana back here with another video. $4 billion in liquidations and $300 billion wiped off of crypto's market cap. But guess what? Altseason is still alive. Here's why nothing has broken on the back end and why this setup still points to massive rallies ahead in the altcoin market. So let's get into the video. All right guys, quick recap on kind of the stuff I've been saying for months, but if you're new here, quick recap of kind of the back end stuff that I'm talking about of why we think Altseason is near. So first up is Ethereum, price, and Bitcoin. One of the main drivers for why I was able to call this bottom on Ethereum, literally sub $2,000, screaming at the top of my lungs that you need to be buying Ethereum and that this could be the start of the leg that gets us Altseason, right? The start of the leg that gets us Altseason in here. So that's how we were talking about Ethereum, price, and Bitcoin in here. How are we talking about it currently? Simply trying to get over a level that we have struggled to flip in the past and that we've sold through, right? Perfect back test thus far. This is a monthly chart. I'm likely going to close the month somewhere above, and then hopefully Ethereum, price, and Bitcoin can go on another push from there. But nothing on this chart suggests to me that what we've expected when it comes to Altseason, what we've expected when it comes to Ethereum outperforming Bitcoin, and then altcoins going on and outperforming Ethereum for Altseason, nothing of that is broken at all. With $4 billion in liquidations, with 20% dips in altcoins, with Ethereum taking out $4,000, right? With fear and greed at levels we haven't seen since the bottom in April. Again, nothing on the back end is even like remotely broken at all when it comes to Altseason. There's another video this week that mainly focuses on Bitcoin dominance as to why the bear market is not here. This video is meant to be about, why Altseason is still alive. But in doing that, these are also all happen to be influences for why the bear market is not here as well, right? If we saw Ethereum, price, and Bitcoin falling, obviously, we are going to assume some sort of bear market is taking place, but not the case when we look at the back end data. So let's move on. First thing down. All right, next up, total 2. Sorry guys, gotta bear with me. Maybe this one works a little bit better. I remember why I did that. So I do have to show total 2, not including stable coins. Total 2 is actually, the real total 2 is actually a little bit higher. But again, pointing to if we can get some sort of expansion in the market in total 2, obviously that's going to be really good for altcoins. That's what I'm expecting when looking at things like Ethereum, price, and Bitcoin, when looking at things like Bitcoin dominance and things like that. Obviously expecting some sort of expansion to come in, and then even structurally on here, nothing broken. Literally just, this is a daily time frame now on total 2. Literally just went in for some sweeps in here and reclaimed in the next day. So nothing making me too cautious when it comes to total 2. And then obviously, like I said, you've been saying the same thing for months, that once we do get the expansion, boom, it's going to be insanity in the market. Just you wait. All right, and then more confluence on the back end. I'm not going to dive too deep into this. Go check out my other video this week. And then in typical fashion, as I'm saying, I'm not going to dive too deep. I start adding stuff to the chart. But Bitcoin dominance on the monthly time frame, rolling over from levels that previously predated Altseasons. And then obviously on the monthly time frame, MACD down here. MACD down here, confirming, bearish momentum on the monthly time frame. Not something that happens in bear markets, not something that happens when Altseason is not on the verge or around the corner. All of these things, total 2 being this high, not something that happens before bear markets, not something that happens if we're going to reject or if we're going to not get expansion. Ethereum, price, and Bitcoin, not something we see show up in bear markets, not something we see appreciating when Altseason is not around the corner. So lots of confluence there. And then structurally on Ethereum, nothing wrong at all. Literally just back testing these levels that we've already back tested, or that we back tested in previous cycles. And if we can close the week above this, that would be epic. Also not super necessary. In my opinion, support's been perfectly tapped. We have an ABC correction Structurally, nothing worrying me on Ethereum. Hasn't been as clean as like what we would hope or previous cycles. But again, not something that makes me super worried on chart, which is nice. And then like I showed on here, total 2, simply just going for the sweep, literally reclaiming it the next day. Very interesting to see that. And I do want to hop into Bitcoin dominance and talk about like this week specifically here. Okay, so we're looking at this kind of area in here. This has obviously been where Ethereum is kind of struggling to get through. We're seeing some shifts in dominance. We're seeing everybody say Bitcoin dominance is on the rise, it's on the rise, it's on the rise, this, that, and the other. And then we go and get super interesting to see that on both days that we had liquidations in the market, we saw massive spikes in Bitcoin dominance here and here. But then on the day, everybody capitulated. There were some big ass accounts you guys would be surprised by if you guys are on crypto Twitter that capitulated in here and rotated back into Bitcoin just for this day with the reclaim in total 2, where a lot of altcoins were very strong, getting a strong bounce, much stronger than the bounce that Bitcoin received. We have this nasty bearish engulfing candle on the Bitcoin daily time frame. Momentum kind of turning over a bit as well. Even if we hop down to like the 4 hour or something like that, you guys can see this does not look great for Bitcoin dominance. So a little bit of a kind of chop, a little bit of a fake out move, and some liquidations thrown in there to get everybody to fly back into Bitcoin just to go on and reverse it the next day, while monthly momentum is not sitting pretty for Bitcoin dominance. Again, super strong confluence that, hey, nothing is broken on the back end. And if nothing's broken on the back end for Altseason, that means at the same time, nothing is broken on the back end for this being a bear market already, or us not continuing this bull market, getting breakouts on Ethereum, getting breakouts on total 2, things like that. Yeah, I don't really know why I had this one on chart. Ethereum obviously gonna go up and expand if we get all those dynamics that we showed. Not sure why I had that one on there, but anyways, I remember why I had it on here. Okay, all right. These setups take years to play out. There's so many dynamics and shifts and dominances and things that happened in here in Ethereum in the altcoin market to get us back to this point. And these dynamics don't simply go break even with $4 billion in liquidations, which is crazy to me, honestly. I let all these liquidations shake out before I started kind of like checking this stuff, and was very pleasantly surprised to see how well this held up. Really thought I was going to have to do some mental hula hoop jumping to be like, is this still holding? Can I spin this? Am I being biased, right? But no, it's clear as day that, all of the dynamics that have brought us to this point, not only in Ethereum, but the altcoin market in general, simply just have not broken at all. And then, like I said, I do want to point out, I think one of the most interesting things to me right now is actually this lower time frame Bitcoin dominance chart, where we saw this dynamic play out with a lot of people capitulating on this candle just for it to reverse very next day. So super interesting what we're seeing play out on Bitcoin dominance, on Ethereum, things like that. Not anything to be worried about Altseason breaking, not anything to be worried about. We'll just go ahead and tie it into the bear market video, but not anything to be worried about bear market coming in as of right now. Structurally, everything when it comes to price chart looks good. Dynamically, what we're seeing in Bitcoin dominance, a quick recovery of total 2 and altcoins, Ethereum, relative to Bitcoin, spike in Bitcoin dominance, everything we're seeing, backend data pointing to, hey, nothing's broken. All those liquidations, all the fear, all the scaries that we had was not enough to break the cycle. Let's continue like normal. Let's keep monitoring. Let's keep watching. And if any of these dynamics do change in the meantime, we will be here to discuss per usual. But appreciate you guys. Super sorry we had to all go through this. I know it's tough. A lot of people don't have people to talk to when things like this happen, or people that will understand that's always kind of been a struggle for me when it comes to like these liquidation events or just disappointments in the market and things like that. Even though, I've made money over time, I've been happy with, blessed with the amount of money I've been able to make. It does suck having that feeling of like being alone, like nobody understands what $4 billion in liquidations feel like, and then trying to explain and like be able to talk about some of this stuff to people. They don't understand the back end or the analysis, so you kind of feel relatively alone. So if you're feeling that, I'm sorry. Just know I empathize with you, and just know that these events and things like that, they typically mark bottoms in the market. They typically, whether they happen in bear markets or on trends and things like that, these type of massive events, they're meant to scare you. They're meant to get you emotional. And even though it sucks to go through it alone, if you can push through it, you're going to be better for it when things shape out for the rest of the cycle. If we had $4 billion in liquidations and this stuff broke on the back end, I'd be making a different video right now, much different video. But again, not anything to be worried about in my opinion. So hopefully you guys can find some solace in this video. And if you guys ever feel alone during a time like that, or feel like you don't have somebody to talk to, or people that don't understand, I'm always here for you guys. I have free Discord, YouTube comments, leave a comment literally wherever. I'll definitely, get back to you guys because I understand the feeling, right? Stuff. But anyways, guys, we survived. Nothing's broken. Alt season loading. Check out my other videos this week. Pretty much all about what we want to see moving forward. But yeah, that's it for this one. I will see you guys in the next one, and peace.